to meet you.
You
I'm
too.
Karen.
I'm Brianna. Good to meet you.
Yeah. See?
Hey.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Tired, but it is what it is. So you're applying for this social media specialist job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't you start off by just telling me a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah. I'm a current student at the University of Portland. Right now I'm an organizational communications major. I actually started out school here as a biology and environmental science major. So in that I did a lot of science research. So I have a lot of research experience, writing up lab reports, investigating and talking to a lot of people.
Okay.
But I kind of got to the point where I decided I really wanted to interact with people more and study people and communications. That's why I decided to switch, because I still got the fill from the research, but then I could also work with people too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. Well then, so what do you think is the most effective way that companies can reach out to a greater population?
I think whenever you can get like face-to-face contact versus through some sort of a medium is always better. So having events where people can come out and actually talk to representatives from the company, or like you guys, because you're a farm, having tours of the farm and really interacting with the children and like getting them involved and having like activities that are geared toward kids, but then also the adults too, and just being really hands-on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so like social media aspects of that you would, create, how would you go about that?
Mm-hmm. So I think you would create the event and then use social media to advertise your event and kind of advertise the purpose and really make that come across well.
Okay, great. So we have an important event coming up, hypothetically. How would you go about promoting it to begin, and then kind of gradually just like, what would be your game plan?
Okay, so the first thing that you'd want to do, I think, is really be really strong in what your mission is for the event. So define your purpose. And then you'd also want to figure out what kinds of people are going to be coming to the event, and from a social media standpoint, maybe surveying or kind of like putting your feelers out there, looking at past events and seeing kind of what kind of people are coming out there. And then based on that, if it's maybe a younger age group, or like 20s to 40s, Facebook is a really great way to reach out. And then on your blog too. The other big thing, the company that I used to work for partnered a lot with other like sustainable companies in the area. So I think partnering with other people too, and then getting your name on their social media, so their websites, their blogs, their Facebooks is a great way to kind of create this web and come together and work and give that community feel. Okay,
good. And then like if it was an event that we were having on the farm or something, would you like promote the food, or like how would you activities, like wagon going around the farm, that kind of thing? Like is that what you would kind of go towards?
Definitely. I mean, if you're going to be having kids and adults there, you want things that families could do together. So whether that be like a hayride where you take around and go to different stations and see like, okay, this is where like our insects are, let's talk about different kind of insects and break it down. And then you can do interactive things like having kids be able to hold them to be a fun thing. If it's in the fall, incorporating other agriculture aspects too, so talking about growing pumpkins and what everything that it takes to go into growing pumpkins. Whether that be how much water that it takes, or other ways that you can water that save money. So we're talking drip irrigation versus sprinkler systems.
Okay, good. Good. Next question. What is the most valuable skill you have that you think will carry over and pertain to this specific position here with Tierra? Yeah.
So at my old position, I worked a lot with our events manager and then also our social media manager. So we created newsletters and Instagram and Facebook posts. So I think in a social media position, having that background and knowing how to properly create a newsletter and like how to send that out and use those kind of programs, Word, WordPress, all of those things are really helpful for this position. And then having that research background, so being able to go out and collect relevant information to put into those newsletters and kind of like back up what I'm sending out is also really important too. I feel like I have those skills.
Good. Okay. So one of our sustainable ideas is using bugs as an alternative to meat, specifically crickets right now is what we're beginning with, which can be really hard to sell. Obviously, that's not an ideal concept, especially in the Western world. But how would you, do you have any ideas of how you can make it sound more appealing to people, or, kind of, what is the word? Spark some interest, I guess.
Right. I mean, I think the concept itself is really interesting, and that kind of like sparks interest. When you see, a post that says like, "Have you tried this?" You guys had a recipe on your website that said like cricket cookies.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so interesting." That catches your attention. And then also, kind of taking people through the whole process and seeing how it goes, and then using, kind of connecting things that they're really familiar with to this unfamiliar idea. So putting spinach in your smoothie, you don't taste the spinach in your smoothie
Right.
when you blend it all together.
Right.
So putting crickets into a cookie and then having them taste like a cookie with crickets and without crickets. Like
exactly.
you can see how, maybe it's not as scary of a thing as it could be. Or turning it into a game at an event would be a fun thing too.
Yeah,
So
okay.
having prizes involved and different things that they can do. Yeah.
That's great. So our overall mission really is, I'm going to read it to you one more time. I know you probably looked it over, but by utilizing social networks and promoting sustainable and natural techniques of living, Tierra is aimed to educate the community about sustainable alternatives for farming, like in general, like the way we go about the farming and what we're growing. We believe that in order to prolong the earth for generations to come, we need to promote sustainable ways of living. So our mission is to teach sustainable farming practices that will benefit ourselves, the environment, and the animals. We power this organization with honesty, integrity, and our sincere passion for a better planet as a whole. So how would you respond to that, Mitch? Do you think that you relate to that? Like, and you believe a lot of the things that we're aiming to achieve? Like, are you an environmental person? Mm-hmm. Do you feel passionate about, keeping this earth more sustainable?
Yeah, definitely. I think part of just Portland culture in general too is this forward-thinking idea of the sustainable way of living. So in my own life, I actually your mission statement resonated with me just from that sustainable point of view. I try in my own life to really lessen my impact. So I ride my bike everywhere I go. I've volunteered in the past at these events called e-waste events, and that's where people bring their electronics and we teach people how to recycle their electronics in an environmentally friendly way. I haven't yet dipped into the farming aspect of it, but I know a lot about it and I'm really excited to kind of try that out and see what all goes into creating a sustainable farm. And then also I have friends who work in, they create like the community farming boxes and then they mail those out. Yeah, so I have a lot of friends who are involved in that, so I'm really excited to kind of see how that all works together. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, here at Tierra, we really value relationships among each other just as much work we do. We also put that kind of energy into our relationships as a whole, as an organization. And our mission can be hard to sell, so being able to talk comfortably about this subject to other people and educate is really, really important to us. And also we just generally enjoy promoting a healthy lifestyle for our bodies and our planet. Do you have any questions for me or about the company or any of the things you might be doing?
Yeah, so I was wondering about the insect part. So are you raising and or do you order them and bring them in? How does that whole process work?
I think to start off, we'd probably, just to get some samples out there, we would probably just buy some, because you can go to animal stores and buy crickets and then freeze them, the whole process. But probably as we get more, as our organization grows, we're probably going to start farming them and just harvesting them ourselves. But to begin, I think what our plan is to buy a lot of them and freeze them so that they'll die, and then we'll cook them ourselves and make all the food. For the chocolate chirp cookies,
right?
Those ones, it's basically just the powder. Instead of flour or other things, you use this cricket flour, and it has all the protein that you would need in an energy bar, except it's in a cookie.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of different things, and with meats, you can put it in your patty instead, veggie.
So it's like a flour.
Yeah, you can grind them up, or you don't really eat the crickets themselves. You can. I know I have before. You just roast them, bake them, put some seasoning.
Right. I was traveling through Asia, and that's huge.
Yeah,
all kinds of different things. Yeah,
it's really, really good. And the crickets aren't the only thing. You can do mealworms and fruit flies and a lot of different things, which are kind of. Right now we're starting with crickets because I feel that's a little bit more heard of, because if you were to talk about worms and fruit flies, that kind of gives off a negative connotation just at the get-go. But for the most part, it's pretty simple stuff. And then we have diagrams and pictures, and we could, like you said, at the events, we could have people doing it themselves, grinding up crickets and then cooking it and then waiting.
Yeah, creating your own review.
Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
Awesome.
It was great to meet you.
Definitely. You too. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay, great. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah.
After this